Today's sponsor is Gamefly, where you can find over 8,000 new releases as well as classic games available to rent for a low monthly fee. Sign up to get a free month at gameflyoffer.com/SBFVGS. Welcome to Super Best Friends Video Game Sleepover episode 75. You're listening to the #1 video game podcast on the internet that features my best friends. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Redding. Joining me is David Cyberpunk Tate.
Oh, that's a fun nickname. What's that all about?
It's like Cyberpunk, but like, you know, funky.
Is that my dancing name? Because you guys all have your dancing names.
But I thought you were Norwegian Thunder.
Oh, you're right. I am. I sure am Norwegian Thunder. And thank you so much for that introduction, Adam. Amazing at giving nicknames, Redding.
Aw, I appreciate that.
I may have given you a nickname similar to that before, but, you know, I don't know if anyone would remember anyway, so it's fine.
All right, and joining us later on today's show is super special guest Tim Soret, the developer, director of the gorgeous-looking upcoming pixel art sci-fi adventure action game, The Last Night.
Yeah, Adam, how on earth did you get this interview, by the way?
Well, you'll hear about it a little bit during the interview, but okay. Yeah, just a couple of years of just chatting with Tim, kind of became pals a little bit on the interwebs.
Chums, you might say.
Yeah, and then here we are. Here we are today. We have an exclusive interview.
I hope he talks about a lot of stuff that we haven't heard yet, because I want to know everything about this game. The Last Night. It looks amazing. So
I know I'm super jazzed for this game. So
yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if you've heard about this little podcast called the Super Best Friends Video Game Sleepover Podcast, which comes to you every fortnight, with each of us coming to the table to discuss one burning topic from the world of gaming. But first, what are you playing at? What are you playing at, David?
You know, I was actually thinking, first of all, where is Mike?
Oh, Mike's not here.
We didn't even acknowledge the fact that he's missing.
You know,
we're just writing him out of the show, right?
He's gone. Mike's dead to us. No, it's we had to record on Wednesday rather than the typical Thursday, and it happens to be Mike's wife's birthday. So, yeah, no go for Mike on the podcasting tonight.
And you know, I don't know what it is about California and birthdays, but you guys seem to take them a lot more seriously than like people over here do. I my last birthday, I bought a bottle of tequila and had a couple friends over and had a really mellow, low key. I know people don't associate a tequila with low key, but we're adults, we're responsible. We don't go like crazy, but we just had like a low key, like chill night,
chill
and that was it. But you guys have like birthday weeks and stuff.
Well, I don't think Mike does birthday week, but
okay. I thought maybe that was a California thing.
The Redding family, we definitely do. We do some birthday week. It's glorious when it's your birthday week, and when it's everyone else's birthday week. Oh man, God help you.
It's a lot of work.
Because they're like, oh, my feet hurt. I need my feet rubbed. And after that, could you get me a cold beverage from the fridge?
Oh man.
But you know, when it comes around to your turn, man, it's the greatest thing on the planet. So
yeah, you know, if you want to be treated like a king, you have to sometimes treat others as such.
Exactly. So, you must first be the servant of all.
Oh, nice. So I was gonna say, since Mike's not here, and I always go first. How about you go first this time?
Okay. All right. Yeah. What am I playing at?
Yeah. What are you playing at, my good man?
Yeah. So we'll probably keep the front part of the show here a little bit abbreviated. Hit some, what are we playing? Hit some tweets, some news stories, not in that order.
Because we're on the street. Tim has a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Because the interview is going to run pretty long. It's a pretty beefy, in-depth interview, and I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That being said, what am I playing at?
Yes.
All right. So, Night in the Woods. I finally finished Night in the Woods.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, I loved that game. It was so good. So, just to get in, not spoilery at all, because I know probably a lot of people haven't played it yet. the game, of course, it's a very amazing art style to it, great aesthetic there, musically really cool. I loved Alex's music, or Alex music.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, just as far as all that goes, top notch. The writing was really funny, really good. And I loved that it starts out in this very like laid back, very just kind of wandering around adventure game, talking to people type thing. And then there's these weird little mini games, and that being the case, like you kind of get into this rhythm. And so when the game gets like later in the game, it, like, again, no spoilers, but it gets very Twin Peaks in a lot of ways, like really bizarre, but in an awesome way. So, I definitely recommend it. There's a lot of different, like you said on a previous episode, hashtag real talk, like just about, there's a lot that it kind of delves into, depression or, not knowing what you're doing with your life or family fights and stuff like this that like you don't often see tackled in games. And so I really loved it for those reasons too.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, just a fun game, just laid back. Like when I would get home from work kind of stressed or whatever, I would just pop on Night in the Woods and just relax. The music's really chill. Fantastic. So
it is relaxing despite the sort of heavy topics it sometimes tackles then.
Yeah, for sure. So it's both funny and sad, but not like make you cry.
Is it like that Mad World song? I find it kind of funny. I find it kind of sad. Is that Night in the Woods?
It's exactly that.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go.
So, but yeah, really good. Loved it. So I got to say, burrito rating for Night in the Woods.
Ooh, oh, yeah.
4 out of 5 burritos.
Okay. All right.
That's very strong.
Solid. Yeah.
Very strong score for Night in the Woods. It finished strong. I would say if you're playing the first few hours and you're like, what's going on here? It takes a little while to blossom, I would say. Just,
stick with it.
Stick with it. Don't you give up because the best is yet to come. That's what I say.
Yeah. Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Yeah. So
fun fact that the guy who wrote that song follows me on Twitter. Just throwing that out there.
What?
The guy from Journey who wrote "Don't Stop Believing" follows me on Twitter. I don't know why. I didn't ask.
He's a big fan of the show.
Maybe we have to try to get him on. I don't know.
And then also I've been playing Resident Evil 7 some more.
Ooh.
Not in VR this time because the headset is gone. But
and you haven't tricked him. I mean, asked him to leave it at your apartment.
Yeah, no, actually,
house.
What's funny is it was here for a while, and I was kind of too scared to play it in VR. So
SMH, Adam. SMH, as the kids say.
But I love it in regular mode as well. So it's really good.
Regular R.
Yeah, regular R. I just got to the old house, I guess you would call it, right on the water. Mm-hmm. So that probably, for people who've played it, you know where that is.
Yeah, I know where that is.
And so that's such a good game. I'm loving it. So I had played a couple of hours of it a while back, and then took a couple of months off and was playing other things, Horizon and other things. So it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, I hope this isn't like too hard to get back into. But yeah, it wasn't bad. I just kind of looked at the controls, and after a few minutes, after I died once or twice, and I was like, okay, all right, now I know how to play this game again. So
oh, okay. Yeah, I recently experienced that with a game. Horizon Zero Dawn. I'll get into that later, but I just wanted to say, like, after playing
go ahead.
Zelda,
I'm done. I'm done.
You're all done. Okay, so I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I've been doing some chill streams, which I hadn't been talking and just been chatting with text to people that were watching, but I think I've decided for my next chill stream, I'm going to just have my mic on but muted most of the time, and then if someone says something, I'll respond. But otherwise, I'm not going to sit there and think of things to say. And that's kind of the chill stream is like, if you want to talk, that's fine. But otherwise, I'm just kind of hanging back and playing the game. But so I jumped back into Horizon Zero Dawn. And I had been playing Zelda. And oh my gosh, Horizon Zero Dawn is impossible to play after playing Zelda. At least for me. Because I I completely forgot that in every other video game you can't just climb anywhere you want to. You know?
Oh yeah.
So like I like saw a mountain, but the place I wanted to go was beyond the mountain, and I was like, all right, no problem, just climb over the mountain, easy. And I like got up to the mountain, and then she starts like bouncing off the wall, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then like, oh right, you can't climb the mountain.
Yeah, you don't so much climb in that game as hop. I hopped many mountains.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I did discover there are some places where the mountains are like designed in a way where you can actually hop up platforms and just get lucky and, you know, kind of rock climb that way. But I totally forgot to even look for, like, I would just run by yellow handholds in the wall because I just wouldn't think that I needed them because I was coming from Zelda. And, you know, I had like this little debate with friends like, man, I just wish all open world games had Zelda-like controls, and then friends started saying like, well, you can't even compare Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn. They're totally different games.
It's really spawned a whole debate.
Yeah. And I actually I don't have it open, but I did a poll where I was like, hey, are Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn similar enough to compare, you know, like kind of 1-to-1? And for the longest time, that poll was neck and neck. Like there was no but then it like slowly toward the end, no. So the choices were yes or no. Are they close enough, similar enough to compare? And at the very end, 56% of you said no, and 44% said yes.
It was kind of funny because at first I voted yes, that they were similar enough to compare. And then as I thought about it more, I was like, well, Horizon really is an RPG, and Zelda is more of a action adventure with RPG elements. And so they're really close in that way, but I think the emphasis is different in Zelda. And so it's more on the exploration, the puzzles, and the, you know, all that stuff. So I think...
Yeah, so technically, didn't we say Wikipedia listed Horizon as an RPG? Yeah. And it was listed Zelda as an action adventure. And so that's a pretty big difference right there. So... I mean, because Link doesn't really level, you know, like he gets better gear, but he doesn't have like a leveling system with perks that he upgrades and stuff. And that's sort of like the definition of RPG. So.
Yeah. All that stuff is kind of under the hood, I think, in Zelda. So,
yeah. So Horizon Zero Dawn, also, I'm sure this is one of our news stories. Maybe it's not, but the PSN August games, the free PS Plus games,
I do
came
have
out.
this in the news.
Okay, and I've been playing one of those games heavily.
Just
Cause 3, very fun.
Nice.
I loved Just Cause 2. Like, it's just a big dumb action movie, but in a game form.
Yeah.
I almost wish there was like Arnold Schwarzenegger DLC where you could just play as Arnold, because it just kind of feels like that kind of movie, you know what I mean? Like, it's just over the top. You're riding around on the top of an airplane with a machine gun shooting stuff, you know what I mean? Like, at one point you're literally riding on top of an airplane. You have an RPG that has unlimited ammo and you can just blast away, and it is just so much fun.
Yeah, I love like you can just like hook shot onto a helicopter and then just like wingsuit down and like jump into a tank and then just start blasting stuff. Like, it's amazing. I love that they have embraced like that ridiculous over the top action movie feel and just gone for it. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It is. It's amazing. So just played a little bit of that. Also, I've been playing Heroes of the Storm again. I don't know why.
I was just feeling a little bit hotsy.
I was just feeling a little hotsy. And also, I've been playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds,
of course,
which is one of my favorite games of the year so far. Awesome. I'm never going to beat it. So at some point, I'm going to have to review it, because you can't beat PlayerUnknown's Battleground. You can maybe beating it is like the first time I ever come in first, and I get that sweet chicken dinner.
Yeah, if you get that sweet chicken dinner, then maybe I feel like you could probably give it a burrito rating at that, or a pizza rating.
Well, yeah, for me it would be pizza rating. But it was fun when Adam Skyped in just now, because we record this over Skype. Little lifting the veil there. Mm-hmm. I was still playing a match, and I was actually able to share my screen with him over Skype, and he got to watch a little bit of my game. And I killed one dude, right? Or no, he just killed me. I had just killed someone when you started watching.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. There's just something so visceral about the game. And like Griffin McElroy tweeted the other day that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is his game of the year right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of other people, Hand Witches 3D, which is he's been on our show. The guy who works at
Dylan.
Dylan. Yeah, thank you.
Totally from Telltale.
Yeah, from Telltale. Thank you so much. He put it as people have been tweeting their top 5 games of all time right now, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is number 5 on that list for him right now. So
yeah, it's pretty wild.
The game I don't even know what it is that's so addictive about it, but it's so good. And
I think it's that risk of permadeath, right? The stakes are so high in every match, mentally. And
they just have this really this really satisfying feedback loop where you start out, you hop in, you don't know what's going to happen. You have to find loot, and finding the loot, you're lately I've been landing where other people are landing on purpose, because I kind of want that pressure. I got to find a gun, instead, because I used to target really remote areas of the map thinking, hoping no one would go there. But it's kind of more fun when you hear the footsteps around you and you have to find something fast, or you're out of luck. So so anyway, awesome. I'm having a great time with that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Xbox One release of that. Definitely want to try it out soon.
Yeah, I hope it comes out soon. Who knows? I mean, the game's not even fully released on PC yet, so we don't know when the Xbox One is coming. So
I think I read somewhere that's already sold 5 million copies of the early access. Yes, that's insane.
And that's only PC. It's only on PC right now.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
That game's going places.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's all I've been playing.
All right.
Yeah.
So, it is now time for the Super Best Friends Video Game Sleepover Fortnightly News Wrap-Up.
The news!
Yes, indeed.
That's how you say it.
That's how you say it. Yeah. All right, so I wanted to highlight a couple of notable indie releases here at the top of the news. So first off, Supergiant Games has finally released Pyre. And of course, Supergiant of Bastion and Transistor fame, 2 of my favorite games of the last few years. And so
I can't help but notice you didn't mention that in your list of games you've been playing.
Yeah, so I haven't picked it up yet. I really want to get it. It's one of those games that I know I will play. It's also kind of a weird game for Supergiant.
I've heard it's a basketball game.
So first off, it's almost like a sports game.
That's weird.
But set in this amazing fantasy world where basically they've developed this game and this massive 20-hour campaign. It's about 4 times the size of their other 2 games.
Wow.
But basically, you there's all these colorful characters, and there's various upgrades and all this kind of stuff that they're known for. But yeah, you're playing in this game, and it's part of the trials, and so you've been exiled from the Commonwealth, and you're in this other part of the world where it's all the exiled, trash, and the only way to win your freedom or win your way back to society is to compete in these games, and so that's kind of where the story part of it comes in.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how in the world is it like basketball? How does that work in the story? You know what I mean? It's not modern times or any of that stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks like a really cool game. I know you can do couch co-op as well, so you can do 2 players on the game. So I wonder if we could use the old trick where you do share play. And so we could play, couch co-op, quote unquote, but across the nation.
I think that would work. Unfortunately, I am completely uninterested in this game.
Oh, okay. So I think it looks awesome.
To find someone else.
But yeah, it's definitely one I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt on, because on paper, sports games are not really my bag, but
unless it's NBA Jam, which is a basketball game, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's combat built into the actual game mechanics as well. So I think it's probably more like one of my favorite sports games of all time, Arch Rivals, where you can punch the other dude and steal the basketball.
What system was that on?
It was an arcade game back in the day. I think it was on the NES or the Genesis back in the old days. Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
But yeah, another notable indie release, Tacoma. So that's from Fulbright, the creators of Gone Home. Tacoma has finally come out as of this recording.
Yeah, Griffin McElroy tweeted about that too.
Yeah, so it's first-person exploration story, walking simulator. Kind of, it's based in a space station. Looks really cool.
Yeah, it does.
And if Fulbright, they're really, really great at like atmospheric storytelling. Of course, some of that team came from the BioShock 2 team, and then of course made Gone Home. And yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to Tacoma. That's on Xbox One, and is it
Steam?
PC as well? I think so.
Yeah, it's on Steam. It's on PC and Mac actually.
Yeah,
I'm looking at a trailer of it right now. It does look really cool. I think this might be the first walking simulator I play.
Yeah,
it just looks very cool.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good. So yeah, I definitely want to try out both of those games, but it's one of those things where I'll probably wait until maybe the price drops a little bit, or until my pile of backlog games is not quite so teeteringly tall.
Yeah. Speaking of which, have you talked about your backlog of shame streams? Are you doing that anytime soon?
So I kind of missed my window while the family was out of town. So I'll probably, I still want to do it, but it's going to be postponed. So
okay. Yeah. Well, I know many people looking forward to that whole throwing it in the garbage. I just love the imagery of that. I can't wait to see how that all plays out.
Soon and very soon. I'll probably have to shoot some different segments that are like not part of the stream, and then we'll edit them in. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I kind of want to double back to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds real quick. So currently there's a news story kind of floating around the last fortnight that it now holds the record for the #1 concurrent player count of any non-Valve game on Steam.
Yeah, which is a hilarious side note that they have to add non-Valve because
because there's no beating Valve.
Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Global something rather, like those are like the most played games on Steam. But yeah, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds had the most concurrent players. That was number 3 basically on the list.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
pretty wild for a game that's not even really out yet. So
basically an indie game. That's basically what it is. So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those runaway success stories. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we need to reach out to PlayerUnknown and see if he'd ever come on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we've got the last night guy on this time.
Indeed.
And let's work some connections at him.
Keep this momentum. I'll say PlayerUnknown. Listen. See here. we brought in Soret. You think you're better than Soret?
Get on this show. To you. Maybe.
Get on this podcast. All right, so next story, Nintendo confirms the SNES Classic pre-orders will go live this month, in the month of August, in the year of our Lord, 2017. And they are claiming that there will be a large number of systems available at launch. So we'll see.
Believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this goes down. I think it's definitely going to be another like people knifing each other in the streets for
probably
SNES classics.
Homemade shivs
you made from old NES cartridges.
We have a whole subset of people that hang out in our Discord, which by the way is bit.ly/SBFVGS Discord. If you want to talk with us throughout the day, Adam, Mike, I have all been there. We have a whole group of guys that have decided there's no way in heck they're going to be able to even get a Super Nintendo Classic, SNES Classic.
They've resigned themselves to their fate.
They're building Raspberry Pi emulators, like 3D
RetroPie?
printed. Yeah, RetroPie in a 3D printed Super Nintendo case. So,
nice.
Yeah. So if you want to get in on that, you can hop into our Discord, find the guys. One of them is Nick Wagner. One of them is Deadwords. Just find those guys on our Discord. Ask them how they're doing it. They'll hook you up with this whole build that they've come up with for really cheap. Actually,
that's awesome. And RetroPie, you can also do like on our RetroPie. I have NES. I got PlayStation 1 games. I got Sega Saturn, Sega
N64.
Genesis, N64 arcade. So you can really get crazy with it. But Mike Lopez, who you may know if you've listened to the show before.
Wait, who's that again?
Yeah, Mr. Mike Lopez.
Mr. Mike Lopez.
He brought up kind of an interesting point. He was like, nah, I'm not going to buy an SNES Classic. I'll just, well, his stance on it was that I wonder how much it would cost you just to buy all of the games that you care about from the collection on Virtual Console. So
probably more than $60, or I guess it's $80.
$80, yeah. So
probably
that would
not
give
more
you
than $80.
That would get you probably like 10 games if they're, because I think typically the good SNES games that you want, like Link to the Past or Super Metroid or whatever it might be, they're usually about $7.99 from what I can see.
All right.
Let's just call it 10 games. Like, so if you picked your favorite 10 games off that SNES Classic, and say one day when Nintendo decides that to allow us to buy these games again on the Switch,
someday soon, I hope.
Yeah, then you spend the $80, you get those games, and now you got them on the go. You know what I mean? That actually, when he said that, I was like, that is actually way more appealing to me than having it at home, even though the box is cool.
So you might as well give me the NES Classic now, then.
That's true, and just
if
buy
you don't
all
want
those
it
games.
so bad.
No, I love the NES Classic. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, but the SNES Classic's totally different.
And I do want an SNES Classic,
Okay,
but for $80,
right.
I mean, I think Mike has a decent point. Like I could just buy those games on Virtual Console and have them portable.
Yeah, or I could buy them both ways.
I mean, or you could do it now with a 3DS. So
that's true. Oh, well, it has to be a new 3DS. Only the new 3DSs get Super Nintendo games.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That's dirty.
It is, because the new 3DSs have a faster processor. So,
oh man,
yeah, they went ahead and fractured their install base, or however that goes. I don't where games have to support. Yeah, it's the 3DS is a mess.
Yeah. So I just wanted to quickly touch on Xbox Live free games for August.
Oh yeah. What are those? I don't even know.
So on August 1st. You have the open world farming simulator Slime Rancher making its console debut on the Xbox One.
Wow. Big exclusive there. Whew.
It's exclusive, a big exclusive.
Man.
And then, you can care for your own galactic farm full of cute, slimy creatures. And then, starting on the 16th, you can take on a wide variety of platform racing stunt challenges in Trials Fusion.
Oh, I've heard of that game, I think.
Yeah.
Is it like a bike racing game?
Yeah, it's kind of like Excite Bike. I think you can do like 4 players at once.
Wasn't that game made by the guys who made No Man's Sky?
No, you're thinking of Joe Danger.
Yeah, Joe Danger.
Which
is so weird.
Yeah,
it is Joe Danger. Yeah.
Yeah, so Trials is like it's like a 4-player, I believe. And yeah, I'm jazzed about that one. I want to try that one out.
Yeah.
I want to give that one a trial.
Oh,
you see what I did?
Yeah, I get it,
man.
I get it. Wait, no, I don't get it.
So Xbox 360 is also getting, and these are backwards compatible, of course, because Microsoft loves us. And the modern classic Bayonetta, available from the 1st to the 15th, and Red Faction Armageddon from the 16th to the 30th.
Okay.
So yeah. Good times for all. I actually never played more than just the demo of Bayonetta, so I may nip into that one a little bit.
Yeah, I know some people that love Bayonetta. I am not one of them. I've played a little bit of it, and I was kind of like,
yeah, I was a little wishy-washy.
You can't see my hands, but they're like waving around.
Yeah, so I may try. I definitely will try Trials out, but may pop into Bayonetta. Who knows? Mayhap, but one thing I will tell you for sure I'm going to be playing is on the PlayStation Plus free games for August, Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry.
Yeah, okay, what is the deal with this game? Where did it even come from?
Okay, so Freedom Cry is a standalone DLC for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Oh.
And so it came out, so it kind of like how they released the infamous First Light standalone DLC as a game later on PlayStation Plus. So yeah, that's kind of this. So yeah, it allows me to jump back into Pirate Fun Time.
Pirate Fun Time.
Creed. Yeah.
Trademark.
Running that Assassin's Creed 4 engine. having good times on the open seas, you know? And of course, Just Cause 3. I want to play some of that.
Yeah, real fun. Very fun.
And yes, indeed. And then there's a free-to-play game called Dreadnought, launching into open beta on August 1st. And I don't know much about that one, but yeah.
No idea.
Also on PS3 for free this month, Super Motherload, which is, I believe, that mining sci-fi kind of game, and Snakeball. And then on the Vita, you can pick up Level 22 and the excellent Downwell, which is also Downwell is also cross-buy, so you can get that one on PS4 as well. So
okay,
good
time. Now, is
so,
Downwell is it like the story of a child that is trapped down a well?
I believe there's water down there, and then you have to pull it up.
Ah, yeah, that sounds
in the well.
Yeah, that sounds really exhilarating.
Are you ready for the tweets?
I sure am, but how are we going to do it without Mike?
So Mike abandoned us. I mean, there's no bones about it. That's what happened.
No bones.
He said, I choose my wife's birthday over this podcast, and I said, you're fired.
So, I love it.
But yeah, but we don't have the regular assortment of tweets in Mike's absence, but we do have a super sweet community question for episode 75.
It's kind of themed based on our guest, I would.
It is themed based on the guest, and some cool things happened there in the comments. So I put it out there earlier today. On a scale of 1 to amazeballs, how good does The Last Night look? Please discuss. And I linked the E3 trailer, of course, and just in case you had missed it. I know I had a couple friends who only watched like the PlayStation conference or only watched the Nintendo stuff, and so they had missed out on this trailer, which was debuted at the Microsoft conference. So put it out there. Just got a few great responses. Judge Greg says, pretty effing good. And he spelled it out, EFFIN.
Oh, okay.
I think that's Swedish.
Yeah, I think so. Is he Swedish? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. And he says, which is about 4/5 of the metric, not English, amazeballs. So he's giving us the scientific measurement of pretty effing
that's good. Yeah, that's very good.
Nikolai Wagner says, pretty glorious.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm definitely on the same page. Eric Kruger says, the art style is rad. I love the 3D pixel cyberpunk Blade Runner aesthetic. I'm getting flashback vibes, which is exciting.
I don't think that's an accident, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Atlas Side writes in and says, looks incredible, feels lonely. 2 important ingredients in dystopian cyberpunk, in my humble opinion.
Oh, that's very cool.
The key will be plot and main character.
Yeah.
That's incredibly insightful, Atlas Side.
It sure is. I hope we hear a little more about that later on.
I hope we do.
So we had a couple Discord responses, too, because you also posted it in there. Cam said, I dig it. I think the look is cool, but we haven't seen enough about the game. Fair. We haven't seen a whole lot of gameplay, although he clarified later that he thought the stuff that in the trailer was just cinematics, and actually a lot of that is gameplay. So
everything, so even the title screen,
is running in real time. So Danzy said, "Oh yeah, I've heard of this. It looks so beautiful. Really draws me in." And then Ultima Kill said, is someone related to the game going to be on the podcast?
He's on to us. So yeah, Casey says, looks and sounds amazing in the trailer. Very Blade Runner-esque. Hopefully we hear something about the gameplay.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
I hope so too. Adam, make sure you ask some questions about that, okay?
I will in the future when we have this interview shortly. Yeah. In the future.
In the future. The interview definitely hasn't already happened.
Right. Definitely didn't say in the interview that it happened like 2 weeks ago.
No. What are you talking about? No.
And yeah, Joseph Grimm also kind of made the observation, it has this 8-bit vibe to it. And I kind of was responding back. We had a little convo. I said, the game looks like what I dreamed 2D gaming would be in the future during the SNES era.
Yeah, me too, by the way.
Yeah. So, and then Tim Soret the very director of the game chimes in and he says that's exactly the intent. So almost an alternate evolution of video games graphics.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really cool insight, and you're going to hear much more from Tim here shortly when we kick off the interview.
Very soon now.
Yeah,
we're
and
like seconds away.
I'm really jazzed for you guys to hear this interview. It was kind of one of my favorite things we've done for the show.
And it's gonna. I have a feeling. Not that we've recorded this, but I have a feeling it's going to get pretty deep here. So.
Yeah. It's definitely a deep dive into the game, which I don't believe has happened anywhere else yet. So that was really exciting. And definitely got to a lot more kind of insight into what it's going to be. And I came out way more excited than I already was.
Me too.
So So anyway, but I digress. I think that about wraps up the tweets. And so, David.
Yeah. Wait, really quick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can I just say, I hope right now what you're about to do is sell me something? Is that what you're about to do? 'Cause that's what I really want.
You are in luck.
Yes?
You are in luck because Gamefly, David.
Oh my gosh, Gamefly.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Heard about Gamefly.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's heard of Gamefly.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't tried it, though. Have you tried it?
I haven't. No, I haven't tried it yet.
I tried it way back in the day when it was first kicking off. It was a good time.
Yeah.
And I got to say, nowadays, with how expensive these video games have gotten.
Oh, so expensive.
$60. Am I telling? I mean, tell me I'm wrong. They're expensive.
They're pretty expensive, Adam.
And there's a million of them, always being released.
There are there are a quad million.
Like we had a buddy who was on the fence about Mass Effect Andromeda. He got it on Gamefly, played it for a few hours, was like, nope, I'm so glad I did not buy this. And he just sent it back, and he canceled that pre-order. And so, I mean, it can definitely save you money. And so I'm going to recommend you sign up at gameflyoffer.com/SBFVGS. That's gameflyoffer.com/SBFVGS for that free trial month of video game rentals. All right, so for the meat and potatoes topic this episode, we have a very special guest with us.
I'm really excited about this. This is cool.
Very excited. Mr. Tim Soret.
Hello.
Thanks for being on the show.
Hello, guys. Yeah,
it has been a long time coming. I think...
oh, wow, yeah. I'm so sorry for that, yeah.
No, it's fine.
No, it's fine. I think we've been talking on and off for about 2 years on Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah, clearly, yeah.
I didn't realize...
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I didn't realize it had been that long until I started looking back in the direct messages. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we were first talking... back in March of 2015.
Wow.
I think I had seen your some footage of the Game Jam version of The Last Night.
Yeah.
And played it online, and I was blown away. And so immediately I was like, we got to talk to this guy. We got to get him on the show. So I'm really excited to finally have you on. This is great, especially
if you want, in my defense, no, I have to explain that what we were working on was kind of secret. All the visual style of the game and all the scope of what we were doing, we didn't want to reveal. The secret in a certain way. So we went kind of undercover for almost 2 years. Just trying to make this game happen. Until E3, until the visual reveal, I avoided every journalist, every podcast, basically, and just constantly delayed until later. So now we can talk about it if you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like you guys have been pretty busy from the trailers and the gameplay footage we've seen. So I think it's completely understandable.
Yeah. So So I wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of the journey, right? From doing the Game Jam, getting some heat off of that, some press attention, and then the journey from that until here we are now. You're on the Microsoft E3 stage, and like millions of people are seeing your game. What is that journey like? I know that's a big question, but feel free to just talk about that a bit.
Yeah, sure. so back then, if I unzoom, and try to go back in time, what really happened? I was working in another industry actually. Like 3 years ago, I was not a game developer at all. I was basically making visual effects for advertising.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was doing motion design and directing ads, for Cartier, Nespresso, Nike, Samsung, all these kind of brands, and that's where my style come from. I come from this discipline, I would say, like motion design. It's a very weird discipline where you mix camera work with lighting and animation and all of that. So you have to get a lot of skills under your belt to be able to be a motion designer basically. And after some time I felt that there is some kind of cynicism going on in advertisement where I was afraid of getting consumed by that, like helping brands to sell their glasses or their steak or their whiskey bottles. And after some point I felt that I felt I needed to save my soul or I was going to be lost forever basically. So since I was a kid, I love to draw and I loved always to create worlds, and especially I love to develop that with my little brother back then. So my little brother Adrian, we are 6 years difference between the two of us. So we grew up, and we love to explore, the woods and the gardens and play, with video games, of course, and draw a lot of stuff together and just basically, imagine worlds together. Like, so we recreated a whole Pokédex together, we recreated a whole Lord of the Rings with our own lore.
Nice.
And,
that's awesome.
And, just making drawings together and starting to program that and just, starting to make a lot of things, a lot of small projects, over time. And then our parents split up. And so my mother went to the south with my brother, and we were separated for 5-6 years, I would say.
Oh, okay.
And so in that span of time, I became a professional on my side. I became a motion designer and everything. And then I was 24, as I said. I started to get really scared about where I was going on. So sure, my career was really going well, but it was a bit disappointing compared to what I wanted to really achieve, So, I wanted to make a legacy, to make something that my children could play one day, because when you make ads, it's completely temporary. It's like people see it for 2 weeks and then it's over, like nobody comes back to it. Like it's completely pointless, like you put a lot of effort into it and there is nothing at the end, just a compilation of ads I made and I was like, it's not that interesting, right?
Yeah. I can 100% relate to this, by the way, because I worked in previs on commercials for a little while, and I had a similar... I was like, what am I doing? I feel like I'm wasting time doing stuff that most people try to skip if they can. Like, why am I working on these things that nobody wants to watch?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I wanted to make something where people actually wanted to enjoy my work,
right.
Like instead of annoying them with my work, I wanted them, to be drawn into it and to be immersed in the world. So hence why we started, I also made some web design back then. I won a few awards, like FWA award, were some of the most important awards in web design.
Okay.
So it was great, and I learned how to code, how to animate, how to all of that. And at the end, I look up at one of my personal hero, Eric Shea, and he's the guy who made Another World back then. So in the US, you know this game with the name Out of This World.
Oh,
I think.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So Eric Shea is a French guy, like me, and he made this game completely alone, basically.
Wow.
So he like there wasn't even Photoshop back then to draw or anything. So he had to make his own. Yeah, so he had to create his own vector tool himself. So he made the game, and make all the vector graphics required for the game, and make all the cutscenes and everything. Like, he made everything by himself. It's completely crazy.
That's insane. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. Especially without internet, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now, if you're stuck, you just look up the solution online and, programming is basically Googling nowadays.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But back then, you had to be a complete killer, it's insane. So I look up to this guy and I was like, wow, if he was able to make Another World 20 years ago, and Flashback also, one of my inspiration was made by French guys also.
Yeah.
I was like, in a way, I had all the skill set required to make that, and I thought, why not just start to make a game? Why not just do it myself too? Maybe I can live up to the legacy and try to make something, that's going to be used, something, that can make people think, and yeah, especially what I want is to continue the legacy of cinematic platformers.
Right. Yeah.
So these particular kind of games, that started with games like Prince of Persia, Out of This World, Flashback, Another World, Heart of Darkness.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember that game. That was a PlayStation 1 game, I think.
Apes Odyssey, PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, those were some of my, and that's actually kind of why this game, The Last Night, resonates with me so much, because as a kid, Out of This World, Another World, and Flashback were two of my absolute favorite games, because they were doing something, and it's a lot of people over here in America know those games maybe vaguely, but I keep, when I find someone who really loves those games, I'm like, oh, me too. Oh my gosh. It's like, it's this cool bonding thing. So those games were amazing. And I actually just replayed Another World on Vita last year when they did the remaster and everything. And so when I saw The Last Night, even the Game Jam version of that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like Flashback, but it's like taking the next step, right? I mean, so
it's like a modern version of those games. Yeah.
In a way, when I saw these games, at first I just wanted to make a really nice pixel art game. After the Game Jam, the Game Jam was very low resolution, so it was made in 6 days, so we had to go fast. But then, after the Game Jam, we were like, okay, what can we do now? Like, we knew we had a lot of power, and a lot of craftsmanship. So we were like, okay, what can we do that, can inspire people? Something, when I look up to my heroes, it's like, Disney, Miyazaki, these kind of people. So I'm trying to make something that, is really, that you can see the amount of work, that goes into it. So I was like, okay, let's make that a high resolution game at first. Like a higher resolution, still keep pixel art, but more like proper resolution and a really bigger amount of details. And then I started to play with real-time engines like Unreal and Unity, and what happened is that I just I found the same pleasure that I had doing motion design. I found that I could play with lighting, with reflections and fog and particles and volumetric lights and everything, and it became an obsession in a way. So I realized, that while I was working on that, I was kind of recreating like a glorified childhood game in a certain way. I was recreating these games I loved so much. Yeah. But with like tons of, state-of-the-art techniques. And that's why the game has this crazy specific look, that nobody else has right now. So
Yeah, that is definitely something that stood out, when you guys showed it at E3. Just the look, the way it's pixel art, but with camera moves, and all that stuff is so unique. I was,
camera
very
moves, depth
blown
of
away.
Field. Another thing I noticed is like you're like volumetric and cloud stuff. Like you have atmosphere, and the atmosphere is like high resolution, but then there's pixel art, and it just looks really cool.
Yeah, you're actually putting the finger on something really important for me. I see the pixels as items basically for me. So everything that is made of matter, solid matter, is made of pixels, and everything else for me doesn't have to be pixel art.
Yeah.
So that's why the rain,
yep.
Rain, fire, smoke, water, all of that is on pixel art basically. For that, it's more everything that's elemental and not solid matter. I don't care about pixel art anymore,
That's
and
so
I try
cool.
to make more like visual effect stuff.
For
it. And the blend, like it took some time to get it right, and I admit I had a lot of doubt, about the style before the last 6 months, basically. Like for a long time, we were like, should we go more 2D or less lighting, and after a while we started to develop our own visual language in a certain way, our own grammar, because we can't look up to what other people did, right? We are the only one doing that, so we have to develop our own stuff and basically try to discover what we can do with that. So one example of that, the game is basically a complex role-playing drama in a certain way. So you play like the old games, right? But you have a lot of dialogues and a complex relationships with NPCs, and everything unfolds in real time. So when you have a dialogue, it doesn't cut outright. You can still move around. You can still leave any dialogue.
Oh, okay.
You can get your gun out in the middle of a discussion too. So, if you sense danger, you can just get your gun out. One example we have, visual grammar. What I imply by that is, because we have this side camera, you can see what's happening under the table, So if you're at a dinner with someone, and it's like a tense negotiation, you're at a bar, you're having a negotiation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
The character is lying, he has information and he doesn't want to disclose any. So, what we can do, because I can't really show the sweat on the face, right? It's pixel art. I don't have that level of detail.
Mm-hmm.
So we use body language instead, And what we do is, the more you ask questions that make the character uncomfortable, the more you see the leg shaking under the table.
Oh, nice.
And so you can start, we have a lot of animations like that we control, in a procedural way. So, every dialogue basically can add points to certain value, So if we can have a value like stress, and depending on what you say, we can increase stress or decrease stress. And we can link that to animation and, have really cool variants on what's happening, basically.
Okay.
So we use that, to try to develop, our own language and how can we use the style, not just for visual eye candy, but also, for gameplay.
Yeah.
So that's a small example, of course. The other one is, these old games, we call them thematic platformer for a reason. There was a lot of platforming, a lot of jumping on platforms and everything, and I felt that we should maybe remove that aspect in the last night and focus more on navigating a city, basically. So I don't know you, but I don't jump that much in my life.
You don't jump up and like pull yourself onto the next floor by hand?
So
we do that here in America a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow, okay. So exactly. So that's the reason I decided to just discard jumping entirely and just rethink how we can make an interesting navigation. So instead of playing on the horizontal and vertical axis, we play on the horizontal axis and the depth, basically. So because we have the 3D aspect.
Oh, nice, the Z-axis.
So you can turn around corners, and you can basically, even if you still play going left or right, the path you take is fundamentally 3D. So you can go around a corner and, just, to turn around a whole building, for instance. You can just go around a full building, doing the 4 corners. And it's something we can do in our game because the camera switch, when you reach a corner, a bit like Resident Evil, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, gotcha.
The camera follows you, It's like a traveling all the time. But, once you reach certain places or if you go to a back alley or a corridor, we switch the camera and we show you another angle.
Okay.
So that way we can explore 3D space even if the game is actually 2D, So, yeah.
That's amazing, yeah. So I wanted to double back too on you said during a conversation you could pull your gun out. Would that then also influence the dialogue and as far or the stress level of the character? Can you intimidate that way?
Yeah. It's completely the goal. I don't want to spoil too much, but let's say that the gun, we don't want the gun to be a weapon you can just shoot. But for me, it's more like the a tool of persuasion, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So you can use it more,
It's very persuasive.
Yeah. So, if you're in danger, you can pull your gun and just strafe back, and try to escape that way. While still aiming in front, You can also, if someone has information and is lying, you can just pull your gun and try to threaten the person, So we use a system called Ink, which enables us to write dialogues that are very organic. So we can have a lot of variables, a lot of randomization.
Okay.
And, it's not like a tree where you explore every dead end, and once you did all the branches, then the dialogue is off.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't work like that. It's more like The Walking Dead, from Telltale, more like that. It's more like point and clicks, maybe, or game this way.
Okay.
Except that we keep the moveset available all the time. So as we said, you can start running if you want. Everybody remembers what you do.
Okay.
So we have a database that saves all these possibilities. So every character has kind of a relationship to you. So we don't expect like 500 characters, right?
Right.
Like, it's still a small game, you know. But
yeah.
But yeah, it's a small open world, you know. It's more like, it's not open world in the sense of GTA, you know. It's open world in the sense of Shenmue, maybe. You know, it's like small streets interconnected to each other, and you take the taxi, the subway, or you know, to just move between the districts.
Oh,
basically.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So you have your own apartment, you know. You have your life. You're very much a citizen of this city, you know. The game is not a power of fantasy, you know. It's actually a game where it's going to basically. So it's like a criminal spiral, you know. It's going worse and worse for you over time. So you know, contrary to most games, we're not trying to make a game where you get more weapons or more armor or more health, you know. Instead of that, it's a game where you have a lot of freedom at the beginning, and then we start to, you know, shut down certain districts for you over time because you get under the radar of criminals or, you know, the police even. So then you have to start to be careful of where you go and start to basically hide, you know. So all the level design is made for several purposes. Sure, at first, you know, it seems to be for role play, I would say, you know, like the first night of the game are more for role play purpose. But then, you know, we want the player to map out the city, and then we want to reuse, you know, this knowledge you have of the city to make proper action and stealth gameplay, you know.
Okay.
So the streets you've been to, you know, the shops you've been shopping, the bars you've been drinking, all these places, you know, you're going to have action stealth scenes there later. So we don't want, you know, the open world to be just a connection between missions, basically. You know, the open world is where the stuff happens. So everything happens properly there in the world we're creating, and we try to make that as organic as we can, basically. So no quest or missions, you know, everything happens while you just walk and you meet someone in the subway, and you know, he's your friend and he's like asking you to go to that bar, and you can follow him or not. We try to make it very organic. So yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That's really cool.
So, you know, we've heard about your role in the game a bit. What is your brother working on story, or, you know, what's the division of duties there?
Yeah. So when we started, you know, Adrien was very much a grassroots artist, you know, so he was just starting. And me, you know, I had already like 10 years of experience on my side, so I trained him, you know, to become the great artist he is right now.
Yeah.
And but what happened, however, is that, you know, Adrien left the company actually in December.
Oh,
so
okay.
So he's not part of the Last Night anymore. He wants to pursue his own project,
okay.
You know, and yeah. So I mean, probably we'll start to. There is a chance that we work again, you know, on the next game together.
Okay.
On some concept art and everything. But yeah, Adrien left actually. So you see the trailer, there is maybe like a third of the work in the trailer is probably from Adrien.
Okay.
And the rest is from other artists who joined us, you know, in the adventure recently.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So how big is the team now?
So we are around, I would say we are a core of 5 person.
Okay.
And there are like a few freelancers on top of that.
Okay.
So we have, you know, 2 composers for the music and sound design. We have Danny, who's writing with also Peter. So Peter is a narrative designer. So he's helping us, you know, to make not just game design, but game design interleaved, you know, with narration, because that's the point of the Last Night. We try to make everything very custom and contextual, you know. We don't want like copy pasted enemies, you know. We want every situation to be unique. So don't expect a game where you're going to shoot 100 characters, right?
100 of the same NPC enemy type, yeah.
Exactly. So what happens, you know, we try to get something maybe a bit more reminiscent of, you know, Drive. You know, Drive is very low key for a long time, but when it hits, you know, it hits very, very hard.
Yeah.
And that's what we want, yeah.
Yeah.
We want actions.
You mean the movie, right? Drive with Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, the movie
okay,
Drive,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of rhythm we're going for, basically. So every time, you know, you're going to have a shootout or something, it's going to happen with characters you know beforehand. So
that's awesome.
You're like, oh no, not Betty or whatever, whoever. Yeah.
You know,
So
we don't want that to happen with just random NPCs, you know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So the could you talk a little bit about, so you had started it at the Game Jam, you had this cool little indie thing going on. You were, when did it start to kind of blow up from there? And then pretty soon Microsoft was like, yeah, we want to put you in the conference. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a little bit because, of course, we have tons of NDAs
Sure.
everywhere.
Right.
But the way it happened, Microsoft was the first one to found us, basically. So they found who we are, like in 2015, I feel.
Okay.
Like, they took a plane. So one guy was absolutely great. He was his name was Alexei Garavayan, and he was working at Xbox at ID. Now he left. And what happened is that apparently the same day, two big important people at Xbox, they posted the game the last night, and the other one we were working on Behind Nowhere at the same time. I don't know if you were aware of that one.
No.
But okay, I'll tell you about that a bit later.
Okay.
But anyway, important people at Xbox, just posted the two websites at the same time in their internal chat, basically.
Okay.
And so Alexei, who was French too, he saw that and he was like, okay, you know what? Let me deal with this guy. He took a plane. He went to Paris to meet us.
Wow.
And then we were super impressed because we made that in our bedrooms in a way, like just working on our side. And suddenly we got access to consoles and everything. So it was the first step, let's say, to get more recognition. And that opened us a few doors, with publishers and everything after that. So we got some dev kits, some support, and then we could get started to work on the game for real. Until we finally signed also with Warfury, this year. The journey is a bit more complex than that because we were in Paris. We then all moved together to London, to just establish an office over there. We thought it was easier, to work with international members. In London, because everybody speak English. It's easier to hire and everything. So
makes sense.
We went for that.
Cool.
And also, I was a bit annoyed by Paris and the kind of climate going on there. So I wanted to go abroad and have an experience too. So it was perfect. Basically, I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
So we all moved to London. We got some fund also by the United Kingdom. So we are part of the UK Game Fund.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Program also who found us. So we got funding from a lot of different sources like that.
That's awesome.
And so that's how we were able to start making this thing. And so what happened, it was supposed to be a short game, like, just, in 1 year it's going to be ready. And of course,
inspiration and aspiration, it always increases as you work on something. Yeah, that makes sense.
So 1 year after, what you start to realize is, your game is 4 times bigger than what you thought at the beginning. And then you want unique animations for every characters, and then you want open world, and then you want district and the 3D aspect of the game, and the game becomes bigger and bigger. And at the same time, sure, you have to make sure that the scope is manageable, but you still don't want to miss an opportunity, right?
Right.
And if we went for the simplest version of the last night, I guess we wouldn't have a slot at E3,
Right.
So pushing like that all the time, for better visuals and better animations, and better and better and better. Every time actually it got us more attention and more trust, in our ability to deliver great quality. So that's why I guess now a lot of people regard us as proper game devs. So that's cool because for a long time I was devoured by imposter syndrome. So
oh my goodness, imposters. Okay, so if you guys don't know, imposter syndrome is kind of this. You get this it's almost anxiety that you feel like you haven't earned, like you're an imposter and you haven't earned where you are, and you're worried that someone's going to find out that you don't deserve your,
they're going to find
place.
out I'm just a phony.
Yeah. For a long time I was, I'm not a game dev. I was like, wow, like somebody's going to discover a scam or something like,
And that's something that many artists face, by the way, that Tim is not alone. I have imposter syndrome all the time. It's like one of the most common anxieties that artists have.
It's part of the process, actually.
Yeah.
Like you have to accept that the process, it's not it's not a linear thing where, everything goes well and the game is awesome and you feel good, Like games, making games is a horribly broken process. For a long time, your game looks like everything is broken, nothing works, it's not fun to play. Maybe you can just walk around, nothing happens, the script, like the action is not even implemented. It takes a lot of time to get all these things going, But then you start all this layer after layer of animation and lighting and camera work, and then you start to feel good. It start to feel like a proper game at some point. It start to connect and click together, and then it's magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that it was really cool for me because you had sent us some little animation clips from a couple of years back, but keep it under wraps kind of a thing, and I was really excited at that point, and just kind of continually watching anything I could for last night news, and then it was so funny to me because like when it was shown on the E3 stage, it took so many people by surprise. Like, oh my gosh, what is this game? I've never heard of this. And I was like standing up like, yes!
I work at a visual effects studio in here in New York, and I remember the day after E3, or it wasn't the day after, it was like the Monday after the presentation. All of these artists that I was working with were like talking about, have you guys seen The Last Night? It looks amazing. Really? And I'm like, yeah, I have known about it for like a little while now. And they're like, man, it looks so good.
Wow. It's amazing to hear, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy thing to let your baby goes out, like it was almost painful to finally show that. Because for a long time I kept that under wrap, because I wasn't sure exactly of what I was doing in terms of cinematography and everything, and I tried to get inspiration from everything, from Blade Runner, Ghost in the Shell, but also from older games, from comics, artists like Moebius, who inspired guys like actually, Blade Runner's art direction actually come from Moebius.
Oh, so okay.
A lot of it, actually. Moebius worked on a comic with Dan O'Bannon called The Long Tomorrow, I think.
Okay.
And that one, if you look at it, it's like you have all the ingredients of the Fifth Element and everything. So and Moebius after that, he's a French artist actually also. So we get a long legacy of that. So he also worked with Ridley Scott on Alien 3 years before Blade Runner.
Oh wow!
To work on the suits and everything. So Ridley Scott saw his work, and he was definitely inspired after for Blade Runner.
Okay.
So if you want to go back, it took for me a long time to unravel everything, like who inspired who. And every time I found someone who inspired someone, there was someone else, But one of the first was definitely Moebius. If you check his work, you'll see the beginning of cyberpunk in a certain way. At least on the visual standpoint, So, letting your baby go, So E3 was completely amazing. We got, the trailer was out, and I was sitting in the room, the Microsoft room at Los Angeles, my first time there, and then my phone started vibrating, and bzz, 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 and it doesn't stop. Like it's complete utter madness. It's like buzzing 10 times per second, like non-stop. Like your leg is completely vibrating, buzzing all the time. And I see that, and I see all the thousands of tweets, and then I got calls from people who say we are top tweets worldwide.
Wow!
Like the Last Night becomes a trending hashtag and everything.
Oh my goodness!
One of the most told game. Like wow, our small baby suddenly
right
makes more than some AAA, and it was like wow,
wow.
So we really made something unique visually, and it really connected with people. So that's great. So it felt amazing. Like because for us that trailer is just a visual reveal. There is so much we keep right now under the hood, and we plan to make the same slap in the face next time for gameplay.
Oh, nice.
So we hope that gameplay will be as amazing that we. I don't.
Yeah.
The worst thing for me would be to make just an icon game. So we try to make something that's as deep on every other aspect too. So
nice.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Well, we're very excited to see more for sure.
You mentioned that the game kind of became 4 times as big as you had initially intended. Does that? I mean, how roughly how long? I don't know. I know developers don't usually like to talk about how long their game is, but would you say comparable in length to say a game like Flashback or?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's it's a 4, 5, 6 hour game, I guess.
Okay,
awesome.
So I prefer something short and very dense.
Yep.
Than something very long. So especially, me right now, I don't have time to play big, long RPG games, for instance. So I prefer, short, cool adventures. Like for me, the maximum is, like The Last Guardian. I can play maybe. But then after, it's too long, So I love games like Inside, Limbo, 3-4 hour games. Little Nightmares also recently was really good.
Oh, I haven't played that one yet, but I loved Inside Limbo.
If you like that, just go for Little Nightmares.
Yeah, Little Nightmares looks really good.
It does look really good.
I actually was just talking recently, I'm pretty sure, on the show about how once a game hits like 10 hours, like especially a story-driven game, once it hits like 10 hours, I start to feel like, all right, surely this is the last fight. Okay, that wasn't. It must be the next. Okay, that's got to be the end. It's not the end.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it has set up a precedent of like this is going to be a 100-hour RPG.
That's something else entirely.
A massive thing.
I feel the problem is that most games are trying to fill the space with a lot of systemic gameplay. Like if they have a mechanic, they have to juice it, to the maximum.
Yeah, but because part of that is like a lot of people conflate value with how long it takes to play it. Like some people think, well, if I didn't get 10 hours out of this, then it's not worth $60. But that's not true at all. Like it's all about the quality.
And for me, it kind of dilutes, sometimes what the game is trying to say. Like Dead Space, for instance, was really scary at first.
Yeah.
And after 5, 6, 7 hours, you start to get accustomed to the creatures, and you start to feel like a and then you just blast through them.
Right.
The fear is removed from me. And it's the same, I don't know, even Naughty Dog games, they're completely amazing in terms of polish and execution. But in a way, you still end up, killing so many people, and and I would just love, maybe you can make a game that's a bit shorter, where you have to kill a bit less people, a bit less arenas, and maybe focus more on narrative development. I would want like a cross between Walking Dead, just dialogues, and The Last of Us, where basically it's mostly gunfight, basically.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. You have a little bit of exploration, but you can't really. There is no social interaction in The Last of Us. You see what I mean? So I guess if we start mixing the two, we can get a really nice, interesting game. But yeah, I'd like to see gunfights in Walking Dead. And I like to see a bit more social role play, in The Last of Us, basically. So I'm trying to make something in the middle of the two, basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like the kind of game I want to play. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's you're saying all of my favorite games in one sentence. So I think I feel really good. I feel really good about the last night. Yeah. So so is it? I don't know if you guys have solidified kind of a release window. Is it coming next year? Possibly, or
so yeah, that's hard, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's supposed to be next year. Yeah.
Okay.
So with the publisher, we're doing everything we can for next year. But games are complex and messy, and and right now, like just before E3, we've been refactoring the whole movement, navigation, pathfinding, collision system.
Oh, okay.
And so it was completely broken. So when journalists were coming, I didn't even had a bill to show them. It was like we made a really bad choice there.
Yeah.
To refactor that right now, just before E3.
Well,
so yeah, but so that's what I was saying. Like games are really complex and messy, and sometimes you have a lot of unpredictable stuff happening. So we're targeting next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do our best,
Yeah.
But yeah, if we feel the game is not there exactly as we want, we'll see what we do. But
yeah.
I don't want to compromise on quality.
I feel like gamers are starting to understand that a little better, that like sometimes things unpredictable happen and it's very hard to like shoehorn art into a release date because the unforeseen consequences and all that stuff. And I've actually had some discussions with, just regular gamers, not developers or anything like that are like, I would rather them just delay a game instead of pushing it out the door when it's not finished. I think because we've had a lot of issues lately, like maybe within the last 3 years where games came out and they weren't done. And then they have to release patch after patch after patch, and that's burned a couple companies lately. So I think gamers are starting to understand that. Yeah,
what's cool with being indie that you don't have a board of investors, who want their quarterly revenue to come and everything. So we don't have a date basically to get money into the company basically. So as Andy, I feel our goal is to make the best game we can, basically, and just date doesn't really matter. I mean, even I understand if people are waiting for that game, but they're waiting for a good game, not for a bad game.
Right.
So,
it's that fine line, where once a game has been unveiled, and I know you guys are probably feeling this, like as soon as the game is unveiled the way it was at E3, like the clock is ticking a little bit more palpably, like where now people are like, oh, okay, where is that game? Because they're excited and they're really, before it was kind of under the radar, and you guys had a couple of years there where people were, they're just off doing other things, but now it's like the spotlight.
What you have to imagine also, people sometimes, if you look at the date, it's almost 3 years now since the game jam.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, okay, 3 years of production, it's huge, right? But we didn't have a studio back then.
Right.
We didn't have a company. It was just a game jam made by two brothers, just two guys. And then, we had to become professional. We had to create a studio, to create a company, to trademark the company, to create logos and trailers and get funds, and get partners and get the development kits and get real, start to develop a real proper engines, because the game jam was made in Flash.
Oh, okay.
Back then. Yeah, it was a Flash game. So, then we wanted to make a real game for consoles, so you can't really make a Flash game anymore.
Right.
So we had to learn so much, and we had to grow and to become entrepreneurs and everything. So it's much more than just, going on your computer and making the enemies and the levels,
Yeah.
I was actually curious, what engine are you guys using? Are you allowed to say, or is that a secret? Or
yeah, of course. No, we're working on Unity.
Okay, Unity, nice.
Yeah, and Unity is great actually. I feel it's getting a bad rap, because it's an engine that a lot of beginners are picking up, because it's kind of easy to start with. And so you see, you can see some work that is a bit rough, around the edges and everything.
Yeah.
But actually, if you know your way in, it's a very capable engine. You can do whatever you want, like I achieved a game, with a unique visual look in Unity, and we have like complex volumetric stuff and lighting and reflections, and it's doable.
Yeah.
It's running in real time on my laptop. So,
that's amazing.
Performance is good. Everything looks good.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just a tool, right? That an artist, as long as it's an artist behind the tool, you can bend that tool to your will. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like the engine doesn't do the game for you. Not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
The engine is just... It's like Photoshop, it gives you the brushes and blah, 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 and the selection tools, but it doesn't, it's not a tool where, it doesn't create for you the AI,
right.
Or the camera system. It just gives you, a way to display 3D assets, and that's it, then it's up to you to create all that stuff. Like the water in the game, it's not a water from Unity. It's something we had to create, I had to learn how to make shaders. From scratch basically, so to make my own water and everything, and try 10 different techniques, to make it, to get the best performance and the best look, and because I wanted this kind of bokeh shape, the depth of field you see in the water. Yeah, just so you know, everything you saw in the trailer was completely real time.
Oh man.
There is no, even the title, title screen is actually...
Yeah, I was wondering about that, yeah.
No, it's the main menu of the game. That's when you start the game, you will see the Last Night logo like that with the rain and everything.
And some camera movement in there and stuff.
Camera movement, everything is there, and you see, the main menu it's right there. So everything is properly in game and real time. Like we didn't modify one pixel to make this trailer. So
that's awesome.
I'm a gamer first, so I know what it is when you see a good trailer, and then you see the gameplay.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh no, so yeah. Me too. I had downgrades. So
there are some companies, I won't name names, but there's some companies that hire guys like me. I'm a compositor, so like my job is to clean things up, and they'll hire compositors to hide the all the cracks.
I did it too. Yeah, me too. I worked for a certain company, and I made some fake volumetric smoke for a certain game.
Yep.
And everybody was blown away by this smoke, and then it never came. So I did that. Just creating the lie and everything. So that's why I wanted to make something that was genuine, and honest, and
it's awesome.
So that is awesome. So coming next year, coming to Xbox, we know. Is it also announced for PC?
Yeah, so Xbox One, PC, and probably Mac and Linux at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we hope, yeah. It should be doable. Like right now it's running on Mac already, and Linux it should be very close also. So yeah. At launch, that's the only thing I can say.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So the music in the trailer, was that something that your musicians working on the game came up with? Or is that like a good indication of what the soundtrack will be like-ish? Or was it...
yes and no.
Yes and no?
The guy who made the music is a very famous artist in Europe.
Oh.
It's called Lorne.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So Lorne is making a lot of dark, gritty sound, like it's really amazing what he can do. And so yeah, we like the music for this video, if you type, Acid Rain from Lorne on YouTube, it's a 12 million views music video.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And the clip is great. Yeah, you can, no, don't worry. It's fine, But yeah, so the guy in the scene, in that specific scene is well known. And so yeah, he basically joined us 3 months ago to work on the game also. So we have several people on board. So we have Joe Cataldo. So he's an Italian living in Los Angeles, and he's making all the SFX, sorry.
Oh, okay.
And composition also for the game. So he's a kind of a crazy guy. He goes with a recorder at night and he records, weird buzzing sounds of red lights and trains. And
that's amazing.
He just gets, he put a stethoscope, like the thing that doctors use for your heartbeat.
Yeah.
He put that on a hard drive and he records the vibration of a hard drive and he makes a drone with that.
Oh, that's so
this
cool.
kind of guy,
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
So we have a lot of DIY stuff like that. That's really cool. So we have Joe Cataldo, he's been with me since the beginning. And what's cool with this guy, he doesn't deliver us just files, He actually implemented himself in Unity.
Oh.
And what's really great is that, he makes sure that we have proper implementation. So randomization and everything. So, when there is a gunshot, of course, you don't want to hear the same sound over and over. So we have randomization of the sounds and we pitch them randomly. And, if you shoot under a bridge, you have,
reverberation.
Echo, reverb, echo, all of that is completely dynamic. And we make sure, that the soundscape is really great because the game, you can't control the camera. So you cannot see all around you. And because we control exactly that, I asked him to make sure that the sound on his, so the camera only shows one side, right? But the sound has to show everything going around you. So, if you're in your apartment, I want you to hear the dogs barking, the neighbors, the babies crying. I want to hear everything, I want to hear the washing machine, the subway going on.
Right.
Just feel, that kind of overwhelming feeling you can have in big cities sometimes. Everything comes down basically to a trip I made in Hong Kong in 2012, where, I went there to work for Cartier, a luxury brand, and I was making, complex mapping video for their events. And I wasn't expecting much, I just went there and I was completely blown away by the city. It was absolutely insane. Because I loved, Akira and Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner and all that stuff before. And I went there and I was like, oh wow, this is it actually. Like this place exists, It's like, it's a real place. It's insane. You have Hong Kong is actually on the side of a mountain.
Wow.
And at the end of the mountain, you have the sea directly. So imagine New York, tons of skyscrapers, but instead of having very wide blocks like that, you have very thin skyscrapers, only 3-4 apartments wide sometimes. And all the roads, it's not a grid, it's like complete chaos. All the streets are overlaid on top of each other, and you have trees everywhere and vegetation. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's my art direction. That's what I can use, like getting cyberpunk, but removing the cold technological aspect of it, and making it a bit more warm. Like I want the game to be a place where you can feel good to be there. Like you see a nice tree under a plaza, and you're like, wow, it seems a cool place to chill, and to get some, bubble tea or whatever.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about the setting of the game? We've seen kind of the cyberpunk aspects of it, or is that kind of under wraps at this point?
So there is one key aspect I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
So, but however, I can tell you that the game takes place near the end of the century, and it's a world where Occident failed to address climate change.
Oh,
so first, like it's major crisis everywhere. You have to imagine a world a bit like Children of Men. I don't know if you saw this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
So So Occident is basically screwed up. We were not able basically to solve that issue, and especially solve the rise of automation. So because everything will be automated in the future, we're going to have like an incredible amount of jobs that are going to just disappear. Just like that. And people think it's going to start with like low-end jobs, but it's going to hit very soon. It's going to hit lawyers, and it's going to hit doctors and people like that. Like everywhere, politicians, all kind of jobs are going to disappear very, very fast in the span of 5-10 years. As soon as AI is there, I mean, I think we're like 5-10 years to see just self-driving car everywhere on the street. So it's going to start by trucks, and then of course cars and
taxis,
it's something that's happening,
stuff like that,
and nobody talks about it. It's completely insane. Like automation is one of the biggest thing coming to our face, as a civilization, and we are not prepared. Like we're busy, fighting on petty issues instead of focusing on climate change and that. So I want to paint a world like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
That's cool.
Yeah. So basically, we're all going to be either, because I figure when the robots take over, that's why I'm very nice to like my Google Maps lady. Very nice to her, because I know later they're gonna be like, this guy's all right.
Yeah, I thank Siri all the time whenever she helps me for something.
Yeah, like when my Google pops up and tells me there's traffic ahead, I say thank you, robot. Because I know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, for later. Some people actually have an existential fear of that.
Yeah,
like there is some people who fear that everything they've wrote on internet will be one day turn against them by AI.
Man.
So some people are completely, there is a subreddit dedicated to that, and it's fascinating. You see, some people are really, really terrified of the idea that one day they said something against AIs, and so the day they come into power,
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I feel we have to stop thinking about AI in these terms, because AI is not fundamentally a bad thing, actually, it's just a tool first. So
it's up to us to like respect it and know that it could be a problem, and just kind of like prepare for it and maybe hopefully avoid it if possible. The issues of it,
Yeah, and I think once the only jobs out there are robot repairman and the guy who repairs the robots that repair the other robots. Then I think maybe artists will actually be really valuable to the AI. Maybe they get tired of techno after a little while, and they they want some blues or something. So I feel like if you're artists, you got a little something.
That's where you're actually wrong on that, because I thought also that artists were going to be saved. And I think actually the more I'm digging it, and the more I'm sure that an AI will be a much better artist than most of us.
Oh man!
I'm going to explain myself, but you have to imagine in your biological lifetime, you only experience like 900 months, something like that. It's really short when you think like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And 900 months, you cannot see a lot of things. Actually, you cannot read 10,000 books.
Yeah.
You cannot go to 200 countries.
Oh my goodness.
Speak all the languages.
Yeah.
You cannot. You are limited basically.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And an AI, can feed on internet, on our giant collective knowledge that we're building every day, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So an AI, you plug it on internet, and a year after it has read every book available. Suddenly, it's much more well-versed than you are, on any topic you want. So suddenly, it's able to know exactly everything about philosophy, or, much more than you're able to. And it can correlate all of that together through several languages, through all the authors from every country. It's completely insane,
Yeah.
Wow. And so when you start to think about that, you realize that, machines are actually starting to do that job. Like humans, we are experts at pattern recognition. Mm-hmm. So, we see things and we start to recognize the patterns. But AIs are starting to become better at that. Machine learning is great at that. Like right now, AIs are doing a better job than us at pattern recognition. So for lung cancer, a doctor, he only saw a few hundred of cases in his life, a few hundred of radiologies, like radio pictures, X-ray picture of lungs, I mean. While an AI, you train an AI on all the X-rays everywhere in the world, of lung cancer. And so the AI, I've seen, 2 million cases basically. For the AI, it's very easy then to know, when there is cancer or not, because it has the real data of 2 million cases before, so it has so much more experience than you can have as a doctor in your hospital or in your place.
And a better memory for those cases and everything, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to me to think, like, now with what you're saying, like, it makes me think, like, oh, robots are gonna, AIs, I like to call them robots. Robots are gonna, they're gonna know us better than we know ourselves as a collective.
Oh boy.
Absolutely. And even I think personally, because that's what the movie Her, I don't know if you saw the movie.
Her, yes. Yeah, that was a really good movie.
But that's a really good movie, right? And it's the first movie for me who was properly talking about AI. Like not the scary AI that's going to rule the world, but suddenly just an AI that takes care of you, an AI that is maybe more human than both of us are, in a certain way.
Right,
an AI that's more empathetical, in a certain way, because we think humans, we're like the summum of that, the summum of empathy and kindness and everything, or just, but we send our old people to just, care houses, house care. I don't know how to say that in English. Sorry,
convalescent homes or whatever.
Yeah, convalescent homes and everything. But yeah, you see, we don't really take care of everybody, when it's hard, right? So when someone has a mental illness, it's very hard to help them usually. I don't know if you ever had a close relative like that, but it's really hard. So I feel AI is, if since you're born, you have an AI growing with you at the same time, someone who's your confidant, who's always available with you, who curates your music for you and your taste and everything. It becomes an integral part of your persona in a certain way, and it becomes, a complete, how can I say, like an assistant for your brain, like someone who's always there for you.
You're like external brain, basically, thinks for you a lot of times. Yeah,
it's already what we're doing. Our smartphones are already kind of an extension of our brains. And soon, I guess, we'll just internalize that. We'll just have more memory in our brain. Like right now, if I tell you 1679408. And I ask you that number in 10 minutes, you won't remember it.
Definitely not.
But in the future, you'll be able to,
Right.
I think I already lost the number.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. So that's the thing we can do, I guess, in the future. We can start to record everything. So it's a future where, there is no purpose for being a human anymore. I mean, in the traditional sense that we have today.
Right.
Because right now, we define ourselves by our job, right?
Yep.
We define ourselves
100%.
by what we do or what we create. But imagine you don't do or create anything. Like
wow.
Who you are, who you really are. Are you your taste? What you like? It becomes really weird, right?
Yeah.
And especially, imagine, so the last night takes place in a world where, you can ask Netflix as many seasons, of Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad as you want. And it generates it for you on the fly. And, if you want someone to die earlier, or you want someone, to be saved, you can just ask, oh, no, I don't like this episode. Can you make a new one for me? And just generate it on the fly for you.
Yeah.
So how do you compete as a human with that, right? How do you make anything interesting or relevant? Because everybody has its own version. And how do you write anything? How do you get the funds to go outside, make a cast, record an episode of anything? It's impossible.
Yeah.
You can ask 500 Colossus for Colossi for the Shadow of Colossus if you want, and you can just generate new levels.
Oh man,
infinitely. So,
all based on your favorite types of things, and oh man.
So it can feed you, infinitely that way.
Yeah,
and we're starting to see that trend already. Like for me, we start to get more stuff that we can consume right now on the internet. We have so much YouTube videos and music to listen and games to play. How many games do you have in your Steam library?
Oh, lots. Hundreds, I think.
Yeah. So and how many did you never launch basically?
Yeah,
so that's the thing, right?
like 80% of them I haven't played yet.
But that won't happen with The Last Night. I can guarantee
Definitely
that.
not.
Yeah, I hope so.
Definitely play it.
Yeah, I verify myself personally.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to give me your Steam IDs and I'll check. No, but yeah.
Well, I'll be playing on Xbox One, but
I'll play on Steam.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
I'll give you my Steam ID.
Your gamer tag. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love kind of where you're coming from with the world building, just because I feel like good sci-fi always asks important questions about
exactly
humanity and about how technology will affect humanity in various ways, and so I mean that thing, makes me very excited.
For me, cyberpunk is not about having a mechanical arm for me.
Yeah.
It's about social alienation. So I'm not trying to make a game, that feels like Ghost in the Shell or Blade Runner. I'm trying to make a game that feels like maybe more like, Lost in Translation, or, Her also is a good example for me. Or Truman Show, Truman Show is a good example. So,
that's good.
I'm trying to make something that makes you feel what it's like to be a citizen, I don't want you to be around and feel like a cowboy, feel like a free agent in a world, that is waiting for you to it up,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a world where, you might have this kind of melancholy sometimes, where when you're in big cities, I felt that in Hong Kong. When you travel, it happens so often, you can have 1 million people by your window, and still feel completely lonely in a certain way. And in the same way, I feel also that internet, was supposed to connect us. And I feel sometimes, it's like vinegar and oil, like it doesn't mix. Like we try to make that, and actually it's like splitting everybody in smaller communities,
Yeah.
And echo chambers and everything. And we can start to see the impact of that, on politics and everything. So, isolation, like the trenches, like on social networks and everything. It's fascinating for me to see, and I'm sure like someone like Orwell would have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
And I feel we are lacking good anticipation work about that stuff, like what's going to happen about how do we relate to each other in the future. When we all start to have like multiple online personas that completely blends with reality. So The Last Night is a game where you have automation, so automation came. And because of that, we feel like a lack of purpose now. And, so sure, we don't have to work. It's great. Everything is taken care of. You don't have to wake up and be productive. But at the same time, maybe, you need a reason to wake up, at least for some people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely
I wanted to explore that aspect. Yeah, me too. Yeah. So
definitely. I mean, as someone who thinks that, I would love to just sit and play video games all day. After a while, I would get restless doing that every day, just be like, what am I going to do? What am I doing with my life?
Yeah. I mean, nothing is, I don't think we'll ever reach a state of total utopia. Like it doesn't happen. Like even if we give us, everything we need and full pleasure all the time, pleasure is not happiness.
Yeah. 100%.
And that's why that's something I want to explore. That you can have a lot of stuff, and still be very sad deep inside you. And we've seen that. We've seen the suicide of stars even this week, right?
Yeah.
Like the Linkin Park guy.
Yeah.
You can have fame and success and recognition and everything, and can still completely be depressed.
Yep.
And even with perfect financial safety. So the game in The Last Night, the world of The Last Night, the game takes place in a city that is not screwed up, basically. But it's not in Occident, and it's not in Asia either. So it's a completely new setting. And we keep that on the wrap now. But you'll know more soon about it.
Nice.
So it takes place in a new place, and it's where all the big corporations basically went to leave all the civil wars and everything, and just create some kind of a new city from scratch, a new government from scratch, just something that is basically almost like stateless, something that is optimized by a government of AIs, basically just optimizing everything, making sure there is no traffic, everything runs smoothly, and always optimizing tons of parameters to make sure that they maximize happiness and everything. So it takes place in a world like that, and everybody's living in a augmented world in that game. So what you experience through gamification of life. I mean, like mobile phones and everything. I'm trying to make a commentary of gamification, and what I mean by that, I want everybody around you to basically live in that kind of alternate reality all the time. So, when sometimes people are talking to you and they're on their phone, they're not really with you. It's really annoying, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but like you're in a dinner with your friends and at the same time they're talking to other people, in their field of view. They see other people. They're chatting, there is a Black Mirror aspect to that, so they have their feed on the side and so they're never really completely with you. They're always in this kind of cloud, this kind of second layer of reality that is always there, like this kind of a brain multitasking, constant multitasking you have in your brain.
Right.
Yeah. There's an amazing Black Mirror episode with Bryce Dallas Howard where everyone's rating each other constantly.
Yes.
And so it completely, it's like you got to keep a certain level of rating, otherwise you're not going to be able to like rent a car and stuff like that.
So you know what? It's actually a mechanic we have in the game since a long time before that episode.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so I wanted to explore what would happen if we start to rate each other. How do we start to behave?
Oh my goodness.
And I guess it would become quite horrible,
Yeah, everything is so completely disingenuous at a certain point, because all people care about is their rating.
Man.
And people are so entitled to their opinions, that I feel it could be a total disaster, Imagine Yelp, for, the restaurants, like to find the best places around you. Imagine Yelp, but the political inclination of the owner when you go there.
Oh, man.
And the owner is like, far right or far left, and depending on that, I guess some people will be like, oh yeah, I don't want to throw money at that guy, I don't want to support his view or whatever. Like,
right.
It's interesting because it's something we had since a long time actually, and I feel it's getting more and more relevant, especially, you probably heard, everything, all the controversy that happened after E3.
Yes, yeah.
So it's crazy in a way, like it's kind of reinforcing, kind of a point I'm trying to make with this game. So
it's strangely connected to some of the themes you've talked about. It's actually fascinating. Yeah,
definitely. Well, Tim, I give you 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 out of 5.
You're 5 out of 5. Yeah, I'm giving the high rating. So there you go.
Thank you. Yeah, 5 out of 5, guys. Also,
nice.
Yes. Thank you. So everybody's living in that world, that augmented world, but the main character cannot access to that.
Okay.
And because of that, he's going to nurture, and feed his frustration, basically, because, he cannot be part of this world. Like, he's living a bit more like us today, Like, I'm using this character as a vessel, for us to enter this crazy future. So I can't just drop you, in the shoes of someone who's used to all that tech. So I need to give you someone who's a bit more like us today.
Yeah.
And then, you can feel the contrast with that world, So this character cannot enjoy that. And because of that, he feels a bit, he's a bit, depressed and he feels the world is kind of pointless. So he's going to want to act upon that, and to make a change. So he's going to meet some questionable characters along the way, and try to make that happen. So
that's awesome.
That's the plot basically. Of course, it will be much more than that, and it's a lot more subtle than what some people can imagine. So, like we don't try to make a dogmatic game at all. Actually, like I'm trying to paint a portrait of the future.
Yeah, you don't want to tell people what to think. You just want to help them think, but let them come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, science fiction is not about predicting the future. It's like what it could be, not what it will be.
Right.
So,
although it ends up being right a lot of times, like if you look at Star Trek: The Next Generation, everyone's walking around with what looks like an iPad, and now iPads are a real thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's the game. There is so much more to say, but
yes,
I guess
I'm sure.
I guess another time
we can have you on again, like maybe closer to the release. That'd be awesome. Like,
we would love to have you back anytime.
Could be really cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, if you leave the audience with one last thought about the game, what sums it up?
Don't expect a game like the one you're used to. Basically, we're trying to play something that blends different genres together, and I'm trying to pick the best of each genre. So I'm trying to get the cool situations of point and clicks, but I don't want point and click gameplay. I want real, proper, real-time action. So I'm trying to get the best pieces of everything, and I'm trying to make something completely new. So I hope in the end we'll get something that's up to my own expectation first, and then expectation of everybody. But I feel really good about that. I feel we have something that's completely unique, and every day we work on that, and it's amazing. Yeah, crazy.
That is fantastic.
Awesome.
So The Last Night coming out hopefully sometime in 2018 on PC and Xbox One
and Mac and Linux.
Yeah, in the future. So super excited for this game. Can't wait.
Especially even more excited after this interview. Like I was excited from the visual side of things, but now kind of knowing, what's going on in your brain while you're coming up with the story and everything. I'm incredibly excited. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. It's so cool to just hear that.
All right, end of the show plugs for men. And women.
Inclusive plugs. And AI, And
AI. Yeah, inclusive plugs for AI as well.
Yes.
So you can keep up with us at SBFVGS.com. Where can people keep up with you guys, Tim?
So we have an official studio account on Twitter. I guess Twitter is the best way. Yeah.
Okay.
It's where we post everything, and we try to not be corporate, so we try to have personal Twitters, So if you really want the corporate stuff, just sign up to the newsletter.
Okay.
We don't spam at all. We just send basically the trailers, So next time we have something big, we send it to you, but we don't spam you with every little news,
Okay.
But
and is it Odd Tales Games? Is that the Twitter?
Games is a Twitter account, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But this one is the corporate one. If you want to know more, just follow me on Twitter at Tim Soret.
Okay.
Okay.
And yes, I think I'll do very quickly, very soon. Sorry, I'll do a post-mortem and like a making of as a trailer to explain a bit more how it was made and explaining the visual style more in depth. So yeah. So if you want to see that, just follow me.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I just followed you right now while we were recording. So.
All right. Yeah. So definitely head over there, follow Odd Tales, follow Tim Soret. And then, keep up with us. SBFVGS.com. You can find links to our episodes, YouTube channel, social media, Discord, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as SBFVGS merchandise. We have our Pizza Always Wins t-shirt on Amazon, of course.
Yeah. And more to come soon, by the way.
More to come soon. So that is exciting stuff. You can head over to our subreddit at sbfvgs.reddit.com to submit news stories that you want us to discuss on the show. Support the show by leaving an iTunes review or by signing up for a Gamefly membership at gameflyoffer.com/sbfvgs. Very special thanks to Eric Kruger for our podcast logo and for his handsome face.
Mike's not here, so I'll
yeah. Yeah. You can follow the show on Twitter at SBFVGS Podcast. I'm Barry White, BURYWITE. Mike is Taco Douglas. David is David J. Tate. Tim is Tim Soret. That's SORET for our American friends who don't know how to spell French things. So you can friend us on PSN under those same names, except for Mike, who's Taco_Douglas, and join the SBFVGS PS4 community and the official Destiny clan. And of course, we're playing some Destiny 2 today, probably with
today being the day 3 weeks in the past
recording. Yes, because definitely because of the Destiny 2 beta, fun stuff. So, anyway, super special thanks again to Tim Soret for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and that's all the time we have for Super Best Friends Video Game Sleepover, episode 75. Thank you for listening. We'll be back every 2 weeks with more 5-star rated game developers on gaming.
Nice.
Hit us up with your questions, topics, or musings if you want to be part of the show. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Goodbye.
I don't know you, but I don't jump that much in my life.
You don't jump up and like pull yourself onto the next floor by hand?
So
we do that here in America a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow, okay.